Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Prachayani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi because I like to be a little interactive. So I would like you to hear very attentively, and then we will collect the different items of envious, non-envious.
Can we switch these? I think maybe that one doesn't have battery.
Yeah, this would be better. Yeah, we'll try that. Oh, okay. Yeah, so let me go through this verse. So please hear very attentively. I'll just change once the Sanskrit. Gunadikam mudam lipset anukusham gunadanamat. Itim samanat anvichen natapya abhiguyate. So now the translation. Every man should act like this. And here Prabhupada uses man in the meaning of human, right? Not man in opposition to woman, but human. Every man should act like this. When he meets a person more qualified than himself, he should be very pleased. When he meets someone less qualified than himself, he should be compassionate towards him. And when he meets someone equal to himself, he should make friendship with him. In this way, one is never affected by the threefold miseries of this material world. So, this last statement is already quite amazing because it means if we just learn how to act without envy, then we will be happy. We will not suffer in this world. Wow, amazing. So let us see how Prabhupada explains this. Generally, when we find someone more qualified than ourselves, we become envious of him. So here Prabhupada uses that in the meaning of somebody who has something which we don't have, we become envious. When we find someone less qualified, we deride him. That's also envy. And when we find someone equal, we become very proud of our activities. That's also envy, right? These are the causes of all material tribulations. So, one more time, the statement is there that this envy is the root cause of all suffering, actually. The great sage Narada therefore advised that a devotee should act perfectly. Instead of being envious of a more qualified man, one should be jolly to receive him. Instead of being oppressive to a less qualified man, one should be compassionate towards him, just to raise him to the proper standard. And when one meets an equal, instead of being proud of one's own activities before him, one should treat him as a friend. One should also have compassion for the people in general who are suffering due to forgetfulness of Krishna. Now comes the last sentence, which often Prabhupada one more time hits the nail on the head. These important functions will make one happy within this material world. Wow. So, if we just learn how to be non envious, we can be happy even here in Tucson. Yes, possible. And it's the envy which makes us unhappy. So now, this is actually one session of a course I'm giving in Michael. So let us have a look at these different relationships. So envy, let's start with relationships with seniors. What did we just say? How do we receive a person when we are non-envious? A senior. What was said?
Jolly to
We are jolly, we are happy, but not beautiful. The answers, okay? Yes, we are jolly and happy to receive him. So, in other words, when we are envious, we will not be so happy to receive him, right? Oh no, not he is coming, okay. And we may ask, oh, how long are you staying? Probably nice to see you. Oh, 3 days. Oh, good. And then deep in our heart, we think, oh, thank God, after 3 days, he's going again. So then I can have my the senior to myself and be the main person and the center of attention, right? Yes, that's the envious behavior. And what else do we do when we are envious and a senior person comes? What else do we do? It was not mentioned in the verse of purport, but we are all pretty good at that. What do we do? Envious, 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 envious. Avoid, yes, very true. We ignore, you know, we pretend he or she is nobody, not even worthwhile talking to, just walking past, can't see them, you know, yes. Hmm. And sorry, you have to be my water stand here.
perfection of my life.
And what else do we do? There's something more we do. Not only ignore, but disrespect. So, and how does that manifest practically? What do we do? Compete, yes. Hate them even, oh my God. So, but yeah, practically, how does that all manifest? What do we do? Yeah, but how, what's the sign of it? What do we do? Yes, and how do we minimize?
We don't speak to
That's the ignoring. We said that already. Huh? What? Pajama, yeah, but what kind of pajama? About criticizing, right? Fault finding. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, we're all pretty good at that. Finding some faults. And in that way, we minimize their importance, right? Let's imagine an example. Let's imagine a senior preacher comes and leads a kirtan, and our friend says to us, "Oh, that was a nice kirtan, wasn't it?" And then we say, "Yeah, it was all right." But the big but, and we find something, you know, to minimize the person. But the tune was a little unusual, or this madanga playing really needs some improvement, or whatever. We find something to put him down. Yeah. Now the amazing thing is that even if it is true, even if it is true that the melody was a little unusual, just the fact that we feel impelled to make the statement shows that we are envious. It's so subtle. We usually miss that point. Yeah. The contaminated intelligence can justify anything. And we can say, well, it's true. Can't I speak the truth? Modern ways of life, freedom of speech. I'm just sharing my kirtan experience with my friend. What's wrong with that? You know? Yeah. But now it means we are envious. Yeah. And our previous Acharya, Sridhar Swami, he made this point. He said, whether it's true or not, talking about a version of his fault means we blaspheme him. And to blaspheme devotees, this is the first offense to chanting the holy name. This is called the mad elephant offense. It's like inviting a mad elephant into our garden where we are trying to cultivate the bhakti lata. So mad elephant will trample everything down. That's what it means. You offend devotees. Yeah, so good to clearly understand this, whether it's true or not. Just the fact that we want to make that statement means if we are really reflecting and looking honestly in our heart, we have to detect some envy there. Yes. So now, what about the non-envious behavior towards seniors? What's the non-envious behavior? Yeah, we said already, we are jolly to receive them, right? That's the first one. And what else do we do?
Serve them.
You serve them and exactly Pariprashnena Seva, yeah, Bhagavad Gita. So that's not only towards Guru, but actually towards any devotee who is more experienced than we are. That's how we take advantage of the more experienced person's presence, that we offer some service and we eagerly inquire and hear from. And interestingly, these two aspects of serving and inquiry, they really enhance each other. So the more we humbly serve, the more eager we will be to hear. The more eager we are hearing, the more eagerly we will serve more. And like that, they enhance each other. So they're very important aspects of a devotional life and taking advantage of it. So maybe you also notice that these days often people love to talk about themselves, right? Rather than inquiring, what they have been doing and this and that. So yeah, to do this in the presence of a more experienced devotee would be a little inappropriate. It has that flavor of trying to show off how great we are or something. So of course, if the person asks us, oh, what are you doing? What's your work? What's your service? So then we can humbly share. But we should not boast about ourselves, but inquire from that. So now, what about towards juniors? The envious behavior towards juniors. Who remembers what the verse and purport says? What's the envious behavior? Huh? Envious? Anybody remembers? Deride. You waited long enough. Yes, we put them down, and we make fun of that person, crack some jokes in the presence of others, have a good laugh on that person's expense. So even though we are already superior, but in a kind of perverted way, we enjoy that superiority by pushing him down, right? Yes. Actually, we can say the mood of an envious person is to say, yeah, all right, I want you to come up, but definitely not higher than I am, right? So you're down there, I'm up here, and this is how it will always be. Yeah, that's the envy there. That we feel threatened when a person maybe can do things better than we can, you know. Yeah. Even when we delegate a task, And in our daily life, this happens all the time that we delegate something to somebody else. We can say there is an envious way of delegating and a non envious way. So, the envious way of delegating is that we have this mood either you do it or I do it. And okay, you want to do it, good luck, you do it. And we don't follow up. We don't ask, oh, how are you doing? You need some help. You need some good advice, some more money, some manpower, whatever. But no, and again, we can justify it all. Oh, I'm so busy, and she wanted to do it, so let them do it. But maybe deep down in our heart, we are hoping that the person is not so successful, that we can say, just see, I knew you can't do it. I should have done it. I knew, but oh, you wanted to do it. So now you see what comes out of it. So that would be the envious way of that we actually don't really want to help that person to do it in a more glorious and successful way than as if we had done it. But the non-envious way of delegating means that we really want this person to be successful. We do everything to make him or her successful, and then we let that person get the credit. We're not saying, oh, actually, I did most of it anyway. But no, we let that person get the credit. And we are deep in our heart, we are very happy. We celebrate the success of the other person. The non-envious way of delegating. And there's a few more things how envy manifests towards a junior. What else do we do? Any idea? What do we do with a junior when we are envious? Sorry? We enjoy their mistakes, laugh about it, put it down. Yeah, I mean, in so many ways we can try and make that person feel, control them. Yeah. And there is one more thing which is sometimes, which is not so easy to detect.
Get puffed up.
We get puffed up. Yeah, well, that's there anyway. We get very easily puffed up. We demand respect for them. Yes, we're getting closer. How do we demand respect? How does that manifest? What do we do? Huh? Not being compassionate. Yes. Huh? Yeah.
Minimizing their accomplishments.
Minimizing their accomplishments. Yeah, it's all true. I mean, something a little different. I mean, when we are constantly and unnecessarily and overly harshly correct and chastise a person, when we lash out on them, oh, again, you did it wrong, and oof, and boom, and oh, oh, oh. Yeah, yeah, almost a little torture. Yeah, I mean, this sometimes even comes out towards children. I sometimes see this. When the parents are so overworked and frustrated, and there's all this anger and envy there, and then boom, the poor child gets it all, and people lash out on their children and scream and yell at them for no reason or something. You see this quite commonly in public places, even in the airports or You know, so yes. And sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm saying something, just leave your child, it's too small, can't understand, Yes. So when we overly harshly, constantly, unnecessarily chastise and correct somebody, these things in subtle ways they sneak in, without us even identifying them. So now, interestingly, there is a rule of Vaishnav etiquette, which actually says one should only correct a person if one is non-envious. But we just said almost everyone is envious, you know. So that almost means nobody can correct anybody. Come here, Prabhu. Come inside. We have plenty of space here. Oh, why are you little? Come here. Huh? Do you want to sit on there? There's place on the couch, Prabhu. Come here. Yes. I want to see my audience. I don't like to have people sitting behind me. Is that okay? No, but they're on the sofa. Some spot. Okay. So let's get back to the topic of correcting somebody, that we should not correct somebody when we are envious. Yeah, this is an interesting point because tomorrow in the Sunday Feast lecture, we will discuss very briefly how consciousness travels on sound vibration. Yeah. So when we correct somebody in some huffy, irritated, envious, false ego mood, let's put it that way. I mean, I'm sure we all know the situation when we see somebody doing something wrong and we get very irritated. I have to tell that person right now. Oh, how can you do this? Oh, and we can hardly even control our tongue, it all blurts out. This is always a sign of the false ego, actually. And even if the correction itself is perfect, but if it is given in this huffy, envious, false ego mood, it becomes poisonous. Yeah. And it actually contaminates the person's heart. Yeah. I'm sure we have all been in these situations. Maybe we've experienced both ends, receiving such kind of correction or giving it to somebody, right? How do we feel? Sad?
Discouraged.
Yeah, there is some ugly, uncomfortable feeling in the heart, right? Yeah. That's the contaminating effect of the false ego action. Even if the correction itself was perfect. And if we don't know these things, we may wonder, what's happening? I had to give this correction and it's right what I said. So why do I feel so bad now? Because it was given in the wrong mood. You know? Yes. And it contaminates everybody's heart. The person receiving that correction, the person giving the correction, other people who hear it. Yeah. So that's why the Vaishnava etiquette says we should not correct unless we are non-envious. Otherwise, it will contaminate our heart and that person's heart. So yeah, but what to do? We may be in a situation where we have to correct, even with children. Yes, yes, because we might think, oh, why is my child so rebellious and all this? Well, maybe because we gave this correction in a huffy false ego mood, and that ignites the false ego in the other person, and that's why they react like this, Yeah. So I always give this recommendation whenever we find ourselves in this irritated, puffy ego mood, we should not correct. We should bite our tongue and wait until we cool down. And to sleep it over one night is a good tip. The next morning, the world looks already different. Or we may have to sleep it over for 2 or 3 nights, whatever it takes. And also very helpful if we have, before we give this correction, we have this prayerful moment where we say, oh, please, Krishna, help me to get this correction across as a well-wishing friend, wanting their very best, really wishing success for that person. You know? If we have that prayerful mood, Krishna allows us to make that correction in a non-envious way, at least for those 2 minutes. You know? And then usually corrections are nicely accepted because that other person can feel, oh, this person wants my very best. This person acts as my friend. Oh, thank you for telling me, right? But if it is given in some irritated mood, ooh, immediately we defend if our false ego is rebelling. So good to know these little. So now the non-envious behavior towards juniors. What did Prabhupada say? The magic word. What's the non-envious mood towards juniors? Compassion. Yes. We compassionately reach out, affectionately. We want to uplift them and guide them. We want their very best. We want to bring them higher than we are, as we said before. That's the mood when we are non-envious. And I mean, a non-envious person can really connect with anybody very expertly. Prabhupada was the perfect example. He could connect with anybody, with a child, with a student, with a drunkard, with a hippie, with a Christian priest or scientist or whoever it was. Prabhupada knew how to connect with that person and act for their ultimate benefit, for their upliftment. And sometimes Prabhupada was so heavy, calling people fools and rascals and whatnot, But because it came from a non-envious heart, people could feel this. And as a rule, they did not take offense. But we cannot imitate this. We should not call people fools and rascals or, the kamis. Sometimes we talk a little down on people, these kamis, these non-devotees. We don't remember that it's not so long ago that we were some of those too. Yeah, so we have to be careful that we don't imitate this. And there is a nice little story with Prabhupada. This happened in Australia. Prabhupada used to go every morning for a morning walk. And on the way back, he was sitting in the car with some disciples driving back to Melbourne Temple. And it was early in the morning, 6 o'clock or something. And people were already going to work like it is, in the Western world. So, and one of Prabhupada's disciples said to Prabhupada, look, Srila Prabhupada, all these mudhas rushing to work. That's what he said. All these mudhas rushing to work. These asses, mudhas. All these asses rushing to work. And Prabhupada's reaction, he was saying, yes. How can we save them? That was Prabhupada's reaction. And that person making the comment, he could feel, oh, I was in a different mood. I was talking about these mudhas.